Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to this podcast. It's so beautiful to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking precious time out of your day to just tune into this podcast. I really appreciate you being here. I promise I will get some beautiful women on this podcast. I'm a massive I love being in person with people. So even though I know there's so much value in creating connection all over the world, and I think it's so beautiful, I really feel like there is so much gold that comes from conversations in person. And so I am cultivating a little lineup in my mind's eye of who I desire to be with on this podcast, because for me it's about women's voices, and it's really about uncovering stories that we can all resonate with. Because for me at the moment, it's like I don't want anyone to feel alone. It's like creating our own sense of community, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you believe in. It's like come into this community where as a woman you feel held, you feel celebrated, you feel supported. So that's my intention, and I'm really kind of putting it out there. And I am also pretty selective with who I let into my space and who I feel can really bring some beautiful value to you all. So that little snippet is, just putting it out there. Today, I wanted to share some reflections with you from my 5 days of fasting. And I did pull back maybe 8 hours before it was exactly 5 days. And it all comes back to really letting go of this idea of perfectionism. It's like, yes, I could have held out till tonight. I could have pushed through, because you know what? That is part of my masculine energy, which is that fire inside me, which can be really headstrong and can really push through anything. And as I've shared in previous podcasts, that side of me hasn't necessarily served me very well. And so there are many, many gifts for me personally that come from fasting. And I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I'm not a doctor. Okay. I share from my own experience. I'm someone who loves to explore things for myself. If I read something that intrigues me, if I learn something that inspires me, I need to implement it. I need to embody it. And I need to actually feel how that shifts something in my body, in my psyche, in my energy. I'm very much that kind of person. And even though, yes, I've done lots of studying, self-studying, and I've done lots of courses and certificates galore, I'm not a health practitioner. I'm not a doctor. So disclaimer, talk to your doctor, talk to a health professional before you step into fasting, if you've never done so. I've been on a fasting journey for a while, as I've shared before, so this wasn't something that was new to me. And what was new to me is this commitment to do it more regularly, to do it more often. And I really did feel there was a difference this time to last month, where I hadn't actually fasted for quite a long time. So many parallels between this idea of things needing to be perfect, this idea of, my journey, gets to be smooth the whole way through and everything gets to be ease and grace. No, it's really, it's not. It's not. It really is not. And in fact, I want to share with you how much beauty and how much power comes from the messy, comes from the mess of it all, comes from the imperfection of the journey, because that is where we actually open up to receive our gifts. This is when we open up to receive, what do we get to integrate to really step or bring ourselves to that next level that we really, really desire in life. And it's a beautiful way of really honoring the shadow, really honoring the fact that not everything is going to be perfect all the time in life. And this idea that things get to be messy, things get to be uncomfortable, things get to be imperfect, and I can hold that space for myself, and I can still tune in and tap in and know, when is it my monkey mind going crazy, and when is it actually my body, because our bodies hold so much wisdom for us. When is it my body actually telling me, no, Simone, this is enough now? And so, day two, I'm like, my monkey mind's going crazy. I want to eat everything my partner's eating. In fact, we had family over and they were having a beautiful Thai takeaway in front of me with biscuits, chocolates, sweets, all my favorite things. And it is like, it's really staying in your power. It's like, this was my decision to do this. So for me to be like, this is just me personally, it's no judgment. Like, I've definitely been there where I've been like, don't eat around me. I don't want to smell anything. I don't want to see any food. Don't leave anything out. I want the cupboards clear. And now I see it like, well, this was my choice to fast. And I don't need to make everyone around me feel guilty or hiding for me making a decision to fast, So they were all having a lovely time, and it was lovely to see them. It was really lovely to connect with them. I do notice when I'm fasting, when I'm with someone or when I'm with people, I am hyper present. I'm super tuned in and tapped in to everything that they are saying, because I'm not distracted. I'm not distracted by food. I'm not distracted by the thought of a drink or something to eat. There's like a whole space that's created in my mind when I actually go into a fasting state. And there is so much sense of clarity and clearing within me. So day 2, my monkey mind's going crazy. I go and I meditate. And I just sit with myself and I breathe really deeply and consciously. And I feel this sense of like this nurturing voice. It's like, you got this, baby. Like, you're all good. I've got you. You're totally held on this journey. And yeah, you're right here. And we're right here with you. And so for that, I felt this real remembering and this calling of why I'm doing this. It's like emptying your cup so you can be filled again. And what I mean by that is when our mind's really full and our bodies are really stuffed and we think we've got to put all these things inside of our body, it's like we're so full, we can't receive that sense of guidance. We can't receive this sense of like our deep intuition because it's so distracted and it's so full. It's like only when we can empty our mind can we actually be filled with that grace, be filled with this beautiful heart-centering guidance. And so allowing yourself to actually really like drop into your heart space, it for me is so much easier when I'm fasting. And I definitely get to integrate ways that I get to really stay connected and drop into my heart space when I'm not fasting. So we get to a point, and I definitely got to a point where I started being hyper aware of my thoughts and all the stories that I'm telling myself, and really coming to this massive realization of like, wow, like we always have this perception that something outside of us is limiting us. Like, oh, it's our old circle of friends and the vision that they hold for us is my old self, and that's holding me back. And there is a part of that for sure. Or, oh, it's my environment. Like I don't feel like free. I don't feel like I can express myself. And all of these stories, and I started to notice all the ways that I was limiting myself in my own little perceptions. So I'll give you an example. It was day 3, and I've been weight training throughout my fast. Personally, It feels good for me to do that. As I said, I've had practice fasting, so I'm really aware of when to go in for it and when to pull back. So I'd done 3 days of leg day. I love a good leg day. In fact, when I was allowed into a gym, I would probably do leg day 5 days a week if I could, which I would actually most weeks. I would do 5 days of legs, which is just insane. Anyway, so in my mind's eye, I was like, okay, Simone, you're going to do 3 days of legs back to back because you're probably going to be tired on day 4 of your fast. And I was like, that's interesting. I am not at day 4 yet. So I'm making an assumption around how my body is going to feel before I've even got to that situation, and I was breathing into it, and it was like, wow, it's almost like this real sense of like a scarcity, almost like fear, this kind of sense of this forcefulness coming from that masculine energy, which has always been very strong within me. And seeing how I just capped myself, how I like unconsciously, this is just in my mind, like, oh, Simone, you better do legs today on day 3 because probably by day 4, you're not going to be feeling like a leg day. You're probably going to feel really tired. And it's like that, just right there, that planting of the seed of limiting yourself by predicting in your mind how you're going to be in the future. And I was like, and this, tiny, right? And when you catch it, it's like, I wonder how many other ways in little tiny specks of moments like that I'm capping myself, that I'm limiting myself from my own story that I'm creating, my own narrative that I'm creating. And can I just allow myself to just drop in and be really present? And can I allow myself to surrender and to fall into my heart space and to really stay with that by just discovering and allowing the space for me to feel what I feel moment by moment by moment, and just step into the next moment and the next moment and the next moment, and allowing whatever comes up to come up. So that was a very, tiny thing. Day 4 comes. And I feel great. I feel really good in the morning. In fact, I was doing a Reiki 1 level attunement. So I was with this beautiful lady. I was in her beautiful home giving this Reiki attunement. And it was really powerful to give an attunement where I was fasting, because I just felt like I had all these beautiful, strong visions. I felt like I could feel the guidance literally coming through me as I asked, to step out of my own way and to allow this person to receive what is best for their highest, truest self. I felt this like force field around us, and it was so powerful. And I do feel like there's a sense of like when you're really dedicated and you show your devotion and you're taking your time, it's like that intention is so powerful. And so there were tears, and there was like all this remembering, and she felt what I was feeling, and it was really magical. So the 4th day, I wasn't staying still. I was moving, and I felt really good. I felt really energized from this. And in general, I was just like, wow, you know what? Day 4, I feel great. And then I had a really challenging conversation with a family member. We're on total opposite poles when it comes to our beliefs and our values and where we stand on the jab. And it was really interesting. It was really interesting because what I felt was the struggle that I was experiencing in this conversation is a reflection of what's going on collectively. for me, I really hold true and really value this idea of unity and the fact that we can still collectively come together even if we don't believe in the same things, even if we have different values. At the end of the day, and this is what I was communicating, was we both feel that we're doing what's right for us. We both feel that we are doing what we think is best. And that is the link. And it was like, can I stay in this space even though this feels so uncomfortable? Even though I feel like I'm getting super attacked, can I just stay in this and still have a softness in my voice and still really let this person know that I still love them? And that was challenging. That was challenging, especially when there's, all the senses around it are so heightened right now. So it was a challenging conversation to have. And it was really, really interesting because I felt like, Simone, this is a lesson for you. This is a real lesson for you, because can you be a bridge? Can you hold the space and love? And can you still share and vocalize your truth? Because it's one thing to hold space and to be quiet and to not speak up. And actually, I am going to be doing a beautiful 21 dieta, which is all based around the throat chakra, which is all going to be based around expressing yourself and expressing your truth. And this is like a real time for this activation. And so that was a beautiful, beautiful lesson for me, and a beautiful gift actually was in that conversation. And we left with, the sense of like, I love you, and a sense of like, not allowing anything to come between us, which was really beautiful. And so I got off the call and I was feeling like my little girl just wanted to like cry, right? Like old patterns of like feeling like I'd been attacked, or feeling like you'd just been like hammered. And especially being on a fast, by day 4 I was hypersensitive. I just opened myself up to give this Reiki attunement. I was like hypersensitive to like everything. I remember getting back home and like, really sensitive to even like little noises, and just my senses were just like, wow. So after this conversation, like I was like, whoa, that was like a lot of energy. And so I was like, I feel like I get to go into meditation. And so I go into this meditation and I just allow myself to cry. And I'm just holding my little girl and letting her know that she's safe and that she's held, and that she's so safe, and that she's so perfectly on her path, and that she just gets to stay in her light and her love, and that it's all okay. It's all okay. This is all happening for me, for my own evolution, for my own journey. And so I held myself for a little bit. I shed those tears, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this breath work. For like I get to actually just let go of this now through using the breath. And so I was doing this beautiful, powerful, strong breathing technique, which only took me like 5-6 minutes, but totally shifted the way I felt. And I will be showing these beautiful breathing techniques in my lunar cycle course that I'm creating. Because breath is a powerful way of actually just really like alchemizing energy. It's like just moves it, clears your body, clears and just shakes everything out of you. So I did this, and then I felt good. Yeah, I felt really good. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to train. And I beasted out another session and another hour weight session, on a day that I had created a story that luckily I caught, that day 4, you're going to be tired. Day 4, I was freaking booming. It was like my body, everything just felt like, I felt like I had this like internal, like just energy source that was just like filling me up and overflowing. And in fact, it got to a point where it's like I needed to move because I needed to actually release even more energy through movement. So a long way about sharing this story around catching our limitations when they come up in all the tiny ways that they love to creep in and create a story that just isn't true. And yeah, like really allowing yourself to feel everything, that, there's so much gold that comes when we actually allow ourselves to be in the shadow. It's like anything that we reject in ourselves will always be there, will always be a trigger for us. Whatever we're avoiding, we're going to keep bringing it up. And so through really facing our shadow, through really facing the things that we have been avoiding within ourselves, it's like, can we mother or father ourselves? Can we just hold our little girl, little boy? And for me, I've done a lot of work on myself to be the mother for myself and to really hold myself and to bring my little girl home where she can feel safe with me now, finally. And fasting really helps me to be hypersensitive to that inner child and hypersensitive to this sense of really being guided and connected, and that the fact that we're not alone. We're not alone. We're so not alone. And letting go of these attachments. So for me, before, it's like I would have probably pushed through to the total 5 days. And if I really sit with that, that isn't honoring myself. That's actually really it's actually not being kind to myself. That's the feeling I get when I tap in. It's like if I was to just force through, which I know I could do because my masculine's energy is really strong and is headstrong, and I know I can push through anything. And it doesn't feel loving and it doesn't feel kind. And I woke up this morning and my body was feeling like, yeah, you get to break this early. And not only physically did I feel like, whoa, like I felt like, I just felt like I started to feel a little bit weak in myself. And I can always tell in my body, because I've done this enough times, that yes, there is definitely times where you just need to be in the purge, for sure. And if you're coming from like a relatively healthy place, like after doing many fasts, is it really necessary to push into something versus softening and feeling and intuitively knowing, and to not hold an attachment to what you set out to do? That is a massive one for me, because I definitely had this pattern of perfectionism and had a massive attachment to integrity of word. That if I said I was going to do 5 days, I will do 5 days, even if it hurts. And that's not aligned. That's not in alignment. And there's no love and kindness in that, and self-honor and self-sovereignty. That's being a slave to your word. That's being a slave to something that you said you would do. Really holding this integrity and holding on to and holding this power for yourself is tuning into the wisdom of your body, because your body is so wise. And like being really kind to yourself along the way, So it's like, yes, I could have pushed on and it didn't feel good. And I chose to honor my body. And I had the most beautiful, fresh orange and ginger and lemon juice waiting for me that my beautiful love prepared for me. And for me, it's a big thing to like break the fast with fruit. It's so kind on your body. It's so nourishing. And it's like my taste buds were just going crazy, right? Like this ginger, like fire back in my belly. And yeah, I just, I love all the ways that we get to really integrate lessons, massive lessons, without necessarily needing to go into ceremony, without necessarily needing to go into sacred space. There is power in that for sure. And when I step away from the attachment to food and I create the space to just slow down in my life, I appreciate all the small things. I appreciate the smells of the flowers, and I appreciate walking and feeling good in my body, and I appreciate all the movement I do, and I appreciate my breath, and I taste the food and I slow down and I'm like giving this food a blessing, and I'm really taking in all the flavors bit by bit, and it's like life is magical when we come back to actually just how beautiful it is when we're not distracted. And this is why I love this idea of, and for me, a massive philosophy is simplicity for expansion. We need to simplify in order to expand in life, because it's like, can we just let everything go that is no longer serving us? Can we come back to the beginner's mind, where we can be filled with wisdom beyond our head? And can we stay in neutrality when we're in challenging situations? Can we hold this field of love and neutrality to be able to hold it all, to hold all of ourselves, to hold all of the collective, and to not separate ourselves, but to find a touch point where we can unify. And so I feel like this is complete. I feel this is complete, and I really thank you for being here and listening to my journey on fasting. I would love to hear your thoughts. Like, what is real for you at the moment? What are those little limiting beliefs that you just catch on a daily basis? And if we can just catch even one of them, it can make a massive shift and ripple throughout our entire life. So I'm sending you so much love. I'm always here to connect. Feel free to subscribe below, share with your friends, connect with me through my website, simonepasa.com, or through Instagram, I am Simone Pasa. And just know that you're not alone in this space. You know, you're not alone. You're always held. And just see how much you get to let go of so that you can experience so much more of your true self. Give yourself that permission today. Sending you so much love. Bye.